Brock Lesnar just got exposed by the future. Brock Lesnar vs Femi happened last night on Raw, and what we witnessed wasn't just a match, it was the passing of the torch disguised as a competitive contest. The Beast incarnate, the man who's been WWE's ultimate final boss for over a decade, just got pushed to his absolute limits by a 25-year-old who's been on the main roster for less than 6 months. And the way this match unfolded exposes a terrifying truth that WWE doesn't want to admit: Brock Lesnar can't keep up with the new generation anymore. This wasn't prime Brock dominating a young star to test them before eventually losing. This was an aging fighter getting outworked, outpowered, and nearly defeated by someone who represents everything WWE's future will be: bigger, faster, hungrier, and unburdened by the injuries and miles that have finally caught up to the Beast incarnate. Femi didn't just compete with Brock, he made Brock look mortal in ways we haven't seen since his UFC career ended. And here's what makes this absolutely infuriating for Brock Lesnar fans: WWE booked this match specifically to expose Brock's limitations while building Oba as the monster who nearly slayed the Beast. Every near fall, every power exchange, every moment where Oba matched or exceeded Brock's intensity was designed to plant seeds that Brock's era is ending and Oba's is just beginning. Whether Brock won or lost almost doesn't matter, the damage to his mystique is done. Hit that like button and subscribe to Wrestling News CC, because I'm about to break down exactly what happened in this historic match, why Brock looked more vulnerable than ever before, and why Femi just announced himself as the future of WWE, whether the old guard is ready to accept it or not. Let me walk you through this instant classic, because every sequence told a story about generational change in professional wrestling. The match starts with the traditional stare-down: Brock and Oba face-to-face, and for the first time in years, Brock doesn't have a significant size advantage. Oba stands 6 feet 4 inches and weighs 290 pounds of solid muscle. This isn't Brock facing a smaller, quicker opponent he can ragdoll. This is a genuine physical match. The bell rings and they immediately lock up in a test of strength. And here's the first shocking moment: Oba doesn't get overpowered. Brock is pushing, using all his legendary strength, and Oba is not only matching it, he's starting to gain ground. The crowd gasps because this isn't supposed to happen. Brock Lesnar doesn't get outstrengthed by anyone. Brock's face shows genuine surprise. He breaks the lockup and transitions to a different strategy, trying to take Oba down with wrestling technique. But Oba sprawls perfectly, defending the takedown like he's been training specifically for this moment. And he probably has been studying Brock's matches, preparing for every signature move, knowing this was his opportunity to prove he belongs at the top level. The first 5 minutes are a masterclass in power wrestling. Suplexes from both men, neither staying down for more than a 2 count. The crowd is invested because this feels real, not choreographed spots, but 2 legitimate athletes testing each other's limits. Then comes the sequence that changes everything. Brock goes for his signature German suplex, the move that's broken countless opponents. He lifts Oba and throws him, but Oba lands on his feet. The crowd explodes because that's something we've seen maybe twice in Brock's entire WWE career. Oba immediately hits the ropes and delivers a shoulder tackle so devastating that Brock goes down. The Beast incarnate just got knocked on his ass by a relative rookie. And the look on Brock's face is priceless, a mixture of shock and growing respect for this young monster who isn't intimidated by the legend standing across from him. The match continues with escalating intensity. Brock hits an F5. Oba kicks out at 2. The crowd is on their feet because Brock's finisher, the move that's ended championship reigns and WrestleMania matches, just got kicked out of by someone most casual fans barely know. That alone is a statement about how WWE views Oba's potential. Oba responds with his own finisher, a devastating powerbomb that plants Brock in the center of the ring. Brock kicks out at 2.5, but barely. He's struggling in ways we haven't seen from him in years. His movements are slightly slower than usual. His breathing is heavier. The accumulated damage from 20+ years of combat sports is showing in ways WWE usually hides through careful booking in shorter matches. But this match has gone 18 minutes already, far longer than typical Brock Lesnar matches. And you can see the toll it's taking. Meanwhile, Oba looks fresh, energized, like he could go another 18 minutes without breaking a sweat. The turning point comes around the 20-minute mark. Both men are down after a brutal exchange. The referee starts counting. Brock gets to his feet at 7. Oba gets up at 6. They stare at each other across the ring, both breathing hard, both showing damage, and there's this moment of mutual respect that transcends the competitive storyline. They charge each other. Brock goes for another F5. But Oba counters mid-move, sliding out and hitting a massive clothesline that turns Brock inside out. Oba signals for his finish. The crowd is roaring because they can sense the upset is coming. Oba lifts Brock for his finisher. And then interference. The lights flicker and Paul Heyman's voice echoes through the arena. The distraction causes Oba to drop Brock, looking toward the stage for the source of the interruption. That split-second hesitation is all Brock needs. He recovers, hits a desperation F5, and gets the 3 count. Brock wins. But he doesn't look like a winner. He's exhausted. He can barely stand medical staff checks on him immediately, and as he's being helped up the ramp, he looks back at Oba, who's staring at him with an expression that says, "I had you." And we both know it. Here's why this match is so significant and why it exposes Brock's vulnerabilities. First, the length. Brock hasn't worked a competitive 22-minute match in years. WWE usually books him in quick, dominant performances that hide his limitations. But against Oba, he had to work a full match, and it showed just how much the wear and tear has affected him. Second, the power dynamic. Brock has built his entire mystique on being the strongest, most physically imposing wrestler. But Oba matched him, sometimes exceeded him in every power exchange. That destroys the aura that makes Brock special. If he's not the most dominant physical presence, what separates him from other talented big men? Third, the interference finish. Brock needed help to beat Oba. Whether it was intentional assistance from Heyman or just a distraction, the fact remains Brock couldn't beat this young wrestler clean in a straight-up fight. That's damaging to his credibility as the ultimate final boss. The locker room reaction is reportedly electric. Young wrestlers are excited because Oba just proved that the new generation can hang with the established legends. Veterans are concerned because this match exposed that even Brock Lesnar, the most protected star in modern WWE, is vulnerable to being surpassed by hungry young talent. And Brock himself? Sources say he's frustrated with how the match was booked. He reportedly wanted a more dominant performance that protected his character. But WWE creative insisted on booking it competitively to elevate Oba, and Brock had no choice but to comply or risk being seen as unwilling to help build the future. That creative decision tells you everything about WWE's priorities. They value building Oba Femi more than protecting Brock Lesnar's aura. And while that's probably the right long-term business decision, it's also a clear signal that Brock's days as WWE's untouchable attraction are numbered. Here's what should happen next. This match should lead to a rematch at Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber, Brock vs. Oba with no interference allowed. And in that match, Oba should win. Cleanly. Decisively. Proving that the first match wasn't a fluke and that the future has arrived. That would be bold storytelling that positions Oba as a legitimate main event star while giving Brock a graceful exit from his role as WWE's ultimate final boss. Brock can still appear occasionally, but he's no longer the impossible challenge. He's the respected veteran who passed the torch to the next generation. But WWE might not have the courage to do that. They might protect Brock in a rematch, have him win to reclaim his dominance, and waste the momentum Oba built from this incredible performance. That would be short-sighted and typical of WWE's pattern of building young stars only to sacrifice them to maintain the old guard's position. The fan reaction has been overwhelmingly positive toward Oba. Social media is flooded with praise for his performance. People are calling this a star-making match even though he lost. And there's genuine excitement about his trajectory heading into WrestleMania season. But there's also concern from Brock Lesnar fans who saw their hero looking more mortal than ever before. They're worried that WWE is phasing Brock out, that his legend is being diminished to build someone new. And while that concern is understandable from an emotional standpoint, it ignores the reality that wrestling is a young man's business and eventually everyone gets surpassed. Drop your thoughts. Did Oba Femi prove he belongs at the top level? Should WWE have protected Brock better, or was this the right way to elevate the future? And in a rematch with no interference, who wins? Comments below because this debate is going to dominate wrestling conversations for weeks. This is Wrestling News CC, where we analyze the real implications of major matches beyond just who won or lost. Subscribe for continued coverage of Oba Femi's rise and whether WWE actually commits to making him the star this performance suggests he can be. Brock Lesnar survived Oba Femi, but he didn't dominate him. He didn't make Oba look like just another challenger. Instead, Oba exposed that the beast incarnate is aging, vulnerable, and potentially 1 or 2 matches away from being surpassed by the next generation. This match was a glimpse of WWE's future. And that future is built on athletes like Oba Femi who have the size, skill, and hunger to replace the legends who've carried the company for decades. The torch is being passed. Whether Brock and WWE's booking committee are ready to fully let go remains to be seen. But after last night's performance, one thing is clear: Oba Femi is ready to be WWE's next monster. The only question is whether WWE is ready to actually commit to building him as such. The future just announced itself. And it looks terrifying for everyone who thought the old guard would stay on top forever. Hashtag Brock Lesnar, hashtag Oba Femi, hashtag WWE era, hashtag passing the torch, hashtag future of WWE.